The only way to get somewhere, is to figure out where you're going before you go there. It is easy to love people in memory, the hard thing is to love them and they are there in front of you. Dreams come true, without that possibility, nature would not incite us to have them. I miss only, and then only a little, in the late afternoon, the sudden white laughter that like heat lightning bursts in an atmosphere where souls are trying to serve the impossible. It was true of my generation, that the movies were terribly vivid and instructive. It's no disgrace to, in the end, restore order. And punish the wicked and, in some way, reward the righteous. His upper half was hidden from me, I knew best his legs. Vocations drying up, nobody wants to be selfless anymore, everybody wants their fun. I think taste is a social concept and not an artistic one. Our brains are no longer conditioned for reverence and awe. The pain of the world is a crater all these syrups and pills 1,000-fold would fail to fill. The fullness ends when we give nature her ransom, when we make children for her. Then she is through with us, and we become, first inside, and then outside, junk. Flower stalks. We live down here among shadows, shadows among shadows. Facts are generally overesteemed. For most practical purposes, a thing is what men think it is. The true New Yorker secretly believes that people living anywhere else have to be, in some sense, kidding. Suspect each moment, for it is a thief, tiptoeing away with more than it brings. If you have the guts to be yourself, other people pay your price. We do survive every moment, after all, except the last one. Like Ronnie said, we're alone. All we have is family, for what it's worth. Sex is like money, only too much is enough. Existence itself does not feel horrible, it feels like an ecstasy, rather, which we have only to be still to experience. You can't say anything honest to women, they have minds like the FBI. I must go to nature disarmed of perspective and stretch myself like a large transparent canvas upon her in the hope that, my submission being perfect, the imprint of a beautiful and useful truth would be taken. Cars used to have such dashing shapes, like airplanes, back when gas was cheap, 25 cents a gallon. Like Ronnie said, we're alone. All we have is family, for what it's worth. The pain of the world is a crater all these syrups and pills 1,000-fold would fail to fill. How can you respect the world when you see it's being run by a bunch of kids turned old? The world keeps ending, but new people too dumb to know it keep showing up as if the fun's just started. The artist brings something into the world that didn't exist before, and he does it without destroying something else. A leader is one who, out of madness or goodness, volunteers to take upon himself the woe of the people. There are few men so foolish, hence the erratic quality of leadership in the world. We were all brought up to want things and maybe the world isn't big enough for all that wanting. I don't know. I don't know anything. An affair wants to spill, to share its glory with the world. No act is so private it does not seek applause. He didn't have a worry in the world back then. He was in paradise and didn't know it. Any decent kind of world, you wouldn't need all these rules. Who would have thought that the internet, that's supposed to knit the world into a shining tyranny-proof ball, would be so grubbily adolescent? The guarantee that our self enjoys an intended relation to the outer world is most, if not all, we ask from religion. God is the self projected onto reality by our natural and necessary optimism. He is the not me personified. She closes her eyes and wordlessly thinks of all the misery sex has caused the world. The yearning for an afterlife is the opposite of selfish, it is love and praise for the world that we are privileged, in this complex interval of light, to witness and experience. As if pity is, as he has been taught, not a helpless outcry but a powerful tide that could redeem the world. Things change, says Mr. Shimada. Is world's sad secret. Healthcare is an expanding field, as the world fills up with people that would have been dead 100 years ago. Everybody winds up needing care, pretty much. Each set of woes can be left behind in a folder in a drawer at the end of the day. Whereas in the outside world there is no end of obligation, no protection from the needs and grief of others. Celebrity is a mask that eats into the face. Suspect each moment, for it is a thief, tiptoeing away with more than it brings. If you have the guts to be yourself, other people pay your price. We do survive every moment, after all, except the last one. What art offers is space, a certain breathing room for the spirit. I want to write books that unlock the traffic jam in everybody's head. How can you respect the world when you see it's being run by a bunch of kids turned old? Any activity becomes creative when the doer cares about doing it right, or better. We are fated to love one another. We hardly exist outside our love. We are just animals without it, with a birth and a death and constant fear between. Our love has lifted us up, out of the dreadfulness of merely living. Everybody who tells you how to act has whiskey on their breath. The artist brings something into the world that didn't exist before, and he does it without destroying something else. You do things, and nobody really has a clue. Looking foolish does the spirit good. The need not to look foolish is one of youth's many burdens. As we get older we are exempted from more and more. That's the trouble with caring about anybody, you begin to feel overprotective. Then you begin to feel crowded. Writers may be disreputable, incorrigible, early to decay or late to bloom, but they dare to go it alone. So much love, too much love, it is our madness, it is rotting us out, exploding us like dandelion poles. Being able to write becomes a kind of shield, a way of hiding, a way of too instantly transforming pain into honey. But it seems to me that once you begin a gesture it's fatal not to go through with it. Children are not a zoo of entertainingly exotic creatures, but an array of mirrors in which the human predicament leaps out at us. We are cruel enough, without meaning to be. What is the past, after all, but a vast sheet of darkness in which a few moments, pricked apparently at random, shine? But it is just two lovers, holding hands, and in a hurry to reach their car, their locked hands a starfish leaping through the dark. There is this quality, in things, of the right way seeming wrong at first. Americans have been conditioned to respect newness, whatever it costs them. If she'd been born at the right time, they would have burned her over in Salem. Growth is betrayal. I like old men. They can be wonderful bastards, because they have nothing to lose. The only people who can be themselves are babies and old bastards. Suddenly summoned to witness something great and horrendous, we keep fighting not to reduce it to our own smallness.